internal, external rotation have the same placement. Okay.
Is the goni placement just to get it to set where the arm begins, like at 130? So you're just measuring just to get it to that point before
Yeah.
you do the manual.
Yeah, you can.
Testing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, for upward rotation. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So for this comp, you'll be doing shoulder when you're doing shoulder flexion. If you do shoulder flexion, you'll be doing the muscles, the range of motion. You have to know the ranges, and then how to do manual muscle testing in the goni. Okay. So relax. Okay. So for shoulder flexion and extension, you can do this either laying down or sitting up. I'm going to teach you guys sitting up because that's most of the time how you're actually going to see it done. A lot of times if you have them laying down, it's because you're only doing passive range of motion. They're scared, they're anxious, and if they lay down, they actually give you more range of motion. Okay. So if you're doing it in flexion, if you're laying down doing it in flexion, it's supine. If you're doing extension, it's obviously in prone. Okay, all right. But for this part, for the purpose of this, you can do, if you get extension, you can do it sitting up. Okay. All right. So shoulder flexion, you will place the fulcrum at the lateral aspect of the acromion process. So with the clavicle and the humeral bone meet, not the humeral bone, the clavicle and the AC joint, right at the lateral aspect of the acromion process. Okay. Now, some people, just because it's right next to each other, like here and here, will use the greater tuberosity of the humerus, because some people's acromion process is a little bit higher. So when it's a little bit higher, like it's sitting up correctly, it's just weird. Okay, so acromion process or the lateral aspect of the acromion process or the tuberosity of the humerus.
Do we say those when we're doing this?
Yes. Yeah. So you can say acromion process. I'm good with acromion process. Okay. Okay, so that's where the fulcrum is going to be with the stationary arm going straight down the humerus. You can use the lateral epicondyle if you need a visual point. So once the arm goes up, then just make sure that the stationary arm is down the line of the body. Okay? Alrighty, so what I want to do is, Leslie, when I say go, I want you to raise your arm as much as you can.
Okay.
Okay? Now, one thing you need to make sure of with range of motion and with manual muscle testing of the shoulder, like I was saying earlier, is scapular compensation. And what I mean by that is this is straight up shoulder flexion. This is shoulder flexion with scapular compensation, okay? And you'll see a lot of patients do that because they think, oh, I want to get more range of motion, and you're like, you just use the muscles that I'm not really testing, okay? Okay, all right. So, 1, 2, 3, go. Okay. So, she is at 167. Okay, so the line is straight down the body and then straight up the arm. Okay, now one thing a lot of people get confused. You can put your arm down. One thing a lot of students get confused on is because the fulcrum moves. So that's why when the fulcrum moves, because of your acromion cannot switch and go down to the bottom. That's why the stationary arm being down the line and the movable arm being down the line is, lined up with the arm. Okay, that's why it's so important. Okay, all right. So that's range of motion of shoulder flexion.
What's that range?
It is 0 to 180.
You said shoulder flexion?
Okay, alrighty. So for shoulder manual muscle testing, place your hand above the